We're not ready?
Okay, no,
We're good.
following yours.
Oh, okay, we'll
My
start over.
apologies, I was on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. The hour being 6:30, I will now call the Public Works and Service Committee meeting to order. Mr. Pretzloff, would you call the roll, please?
Alder Jones,
Present.
Alder Young,
Present.
Alder Santiago,
Present.
Alder Lemke is excused. Alder Rouse,
Present.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from May 11, 2021.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion is second to approve the minutes from May 11, 2021. Any questions, comments, corrections? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes, extensions? Motion passes. Our first item, 0419-21, Mr. Fritzloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer submitting change order number 2 to contract 2020-0057 Ohio Street Lighting MP Systems Incorporated contractor, city engineer Molitor.
We are recommended a Public Works and Services Committee that change order number 2 in the amount for that above mentioned project be approved in the amount of $17,765.40. This will bring the approved amount of the project from $196,623.90 to $214,389.30. This change order was basically adding rewiring for the yellow flashing lights for the Graceland School.
Thank you, Mr. Mulder. Any questions from committee members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second that item 0419-21 be approved. If no further questions, comments, please vote as you wish.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Abstentions? If not, the motion passes. Our next item is 0420-21. Mr. Fritzloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer submitting change order number 1 to contract 2020-0007 Accessible Streets and Alleys AW Oaks and Son contractor, city engineer Molitor.
This is a change order. It's a rectifying change order to close out the above mentioned project. The change order amount is in an addition of $11,596, brings the original contract amount of $924,045.20, which was approved under resolution 0115-20 of March 3rd, 2020. This change order brings the contract total to $935,641.20.
Any questions from committee members? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to item 0420-21. If there are no questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes? Any abstentions? Motion passes. The next item is 0424-21. Mr. Fritzloff.
Thank you. We have a, excuse me, we have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer submitting change order number 1 to contract 2020-0095 sanitary sewer lateral repairs, State Highway 20 and various locations, Globe Contractors Incorporated contractor. City Engineer Molitor.
This is change order number one to the above mentioned contract for the sanitary sewer lateral repairs. Most of this was on Highway 20. Right one. We're submitting, basically the change order was for a credit amount of $10,562.66. The original contract amount was for $375,888, and it was approved under resolution 0061-21 of February, on February 2nd of this year. The same change order brings the contract total to $365,325.34. The funding is shown in on the spreadsheet.
Thank you, Mr. Mulder. Any questions from committee members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion accepted to approve item 0424-21. If there are no questions, comments, all those in favor, please vote as you wish.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Motion carries. The next item is 0432-21. Mr. Pretzlaff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer submitting change order number 2 to contract 2020-0001 2020 sanitary sewer construction, AW Oaks and Son Incorporated contractor. City Engineer Molitor.
This change order number 2 to the above mentioned contract is also a rectifying change order for the credit or deduct amount of $21,894.20. That brings the original contract was approved for $449,196 and was approved under resolution number 0051-20 of February 4th of 2020. This change order brings the revised contract total to $448,951.80. The funding is approved on as shown on the memo.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? If not,
Move to approve.
Second.
motion is second to approve item 0432-21. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposes? Any abstentions? Motion passes. The next item is 0425-21. Mr. Pretzlaff.
Okay, we have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Department of Public Works to submit final payment for contract 2020-0095 sanitary sewer lateral repairs, State Highway 20 in various locations, Globe Contractors Incorporated contractor. City Engineer Molitor.
This is the final payment for the above mentioned project. This is one we just did a rectifying change order for sanitary sewer lateral repairs. The work for this contract was completed by Globe Contractors, and they are requesting final payment. The original contract was approved for the amount of $375,888 under the resolution 0061-21 on February 2nd of this year. The change order number 1 decreased the contract amount by $10,562. Final payment for this, for all work completed and accepted, is $365,325.34. And funding is described as in the memo.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? All those, excuse me. I would entertain a motion, a little ahead of myself here.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 0425-21. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Any abstentions? If not, the motion passes. The next item is 0433-21.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have communication sponsored by Alder Jones requesting to authorize final payment for contract 20200001 2020 sanitary sewer construction, AW Oaks and Son Incorporated contractor, city engineer Molitor.
This is also a final payment that we just approved a rectifying change order on. The work was completed by AW Oaks and Sons Incorporated on the contract for the 2020 sanitary sewer construction. I recommend that it be accepted. Final payment authorized a total contract amount of $448,951.80. Final to include retainage. The contract was authorized under resolution number 0051-20 dated February 4th of 2020. The change order that we just approved deducted $21,894.20. I believe that covers all my numbers. The final, or that's not me. The project, or I already mentioned that, the final amount was $449,196. Nope, I'm sorry.
448.
Yep, the final amount was $448,951.80.
Thank you, Mr. Mulder. Any questions, comments from committee members? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 433-21. Any questions, comments? If not, please vote as you wish.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes, extensions? If not, the motion passes. The next item is 0421-21. Mr. Pretzlaff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer submitting a three-party professional engineering services contract between the city of Racine, Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and Strand Associates Incorporated for state project ID 2703-09-01, North Main Street, Gould Street to Melvin Avenue, city contract number 2021056. Commissioner Rooney.
Thanks, Ron. We are submitting a three-party agreement between the city of Racine, WisDOT, and Strand Associates for the design engineering services for the above referenced DOT project. This agreement is for North Main Street, Gould Street to Melvin Avenue. The agreement is in the not to exceed amount of $432,671.51, with the city share being $86,534.30 and the state share being $346,137.21. Funding for the city share is available in the following org object in the 2021 to 2030 CIP. If the committee agrees, the appropriate action would be to approve and authorize the mayor and city clerk to enter into this three-party agreement.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 0421-21. If there are no questions, all those in favor, please vote as you wish.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes, abstentions? If not, the motion passes. Our next item is 0435-21. Mr. Petzler.
Yes, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Department of, excuse me, that was the wrong item. 0435/21, right?
Yeah,
There we go. We have a communication. We have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer requesting that the city enter into a reimbursement agreement with the village of Mount Pleasant for Wisconsin Department of Transportation Project ID 1693-34-06, Lake Michigan Pathway Phase 4. Commissioner Rooney.
Thanks, Sean. Madam Chairman, committee members, we're submitting a reimbursement agreement between the city of Racine and the village of Mount Pleasant for the above mentioned project. The village of Mount Pleasant has requested that additional work be completed on this project that has an estimated cost of $93,000. In addition to construction costs, Mount Pleasant will be responsible to cover engineering and construction management costs at 15% of the estimated construction costs. This agreement will then be in the not to exceed amount of $107,000, and any additional costs for the project will be submitted to the village for approval if needed. If the committee agrees, the appropriate action would be to approve and authorize the mayor and city clerk to enter into the reimbursement agreement.
thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Any questions from committee members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve item 043521. If no questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 We have any opposes, any abstentions? If not, the motion passes. Our next item is 0446-21. Mr. Pretzloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works, submitting road salt prices for salt for ice control during the 2021-2022 winter season. We have attached for your consideration a communication from Racine County providing for an extension to the Racine County road salt contract. The accepted bid for the 2020-21 winter season, which is the prior winter, so was from Compass Minerals America Incorporated in the amount of $69.93 per ton of road salt. Racine County's one-year extension price per ton as submitted by the same company, Compass Minerals America Incorporated, is $72.03 per ton, which is a 3% increase above the $69.93 of road salt for the 2021-2022 winter season. We recommend that the proposed one-year extension to the salt contract for the purchase of 7,000 tons, more or less, of Compass Minerals America Incorporated road salt for ice control for the 2021-2022 winter season be approved at their price of $72.03 per ton. And funding to defray those costs of this purchase is available in Org Object 14010-53200, snow and ice control work supplies.
Thank you. Any questions from, Alder Young?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question for staff. Are there savings associated with partnering with Racine County in purchasing this salt and continuing the contract?
Absolutely. There many of the surrounding, well, pretty much all of the surrounding communities participate. So when Racine County takes these bids, there's certainly an economy of scale that we see when we see these bid prices.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any further questions from committee members? Thank you. If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 0446-21. If there are no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposes or abstentions? Motion passes. The next item is 0428-21. Commissioner Pretzloff, Assistant Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication from Alder Young on behalf of the Transit and Parking System Manager and the City Attorney presenting a consent and novation agreement, assigning rights and obligations under the existing transit management agreement with the City of Racine from First Transit Incorporated to First Group Management Incorporated. City Attorney Letney.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll try to explain a little complicated transaction as simply as I can. This relates to the management of the bus system. As you know, the city owns the bus system, but contracts the management of the bus system. Our contract is with First Transit Incorporated. They have a wholly owned subsidiary called Transit Management of Racine that actually manages the bus system. Now, going back up the chain, First Transit's parent company is a multinational corporation known as First Group PLC. First Group PLC has apparently decided that First Transit is going to get out of the transit management business. And they have another subsidiary, which is First Group Management Incorporated. So this agreement would essentially have First Group Management Incorporated step into the shoes of First Transit Incorporated. So as far as the city's concerned, it's just changing the parent of the company that manages the bus system. But we have to agree to it, or not agree to it, I suppose, in order for this change to occur. And by the way, just in case you have forgotten, we're in the first year of the 3-year plus 2 optional years of the contract we have with First Transit. So this existing contract expires at the end of January. We don't know for sure yet whether First Group Management Incorporated will want to extend for a year. It's a mutual option, but right now they're stepping into the shoes of First Transit. So I negotiated the terms of this with the general counsel from the other entities, and I'm pretty solid with it. The mayor understands what's going on. He's good with it. So I would recommend approval of this.
Thank you, Attorney Letney. Commissioner Ross.
My question is, with that change in the subsidiary management, is the transit management of Racine, is that changing as well, or is that remaining the same just under new upper management?
Right, they will have a new parent company.
But their local branch will be the same? Same
Exactly.
and same point of contacts. They're not shuffling that staff around, are they?
That local company will not change at all.
Okay, good.
Any further questions from committee members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 0428-21. If there are no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes, abstentions? If not, the motion passes. Our next item is 0407-21, Mr. Pritzlaff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by Mayor Mason and Alderman Young on behalf of the Sustainability and Conservation Coordinator, submitting a resolution to approve joining the Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition, WLGCC. Ms. Pratt was going to speak on this item, but I would defer to Mr. Young or Alder Young.
Thank you very much. Just to introduce the item, obviously the memo is attached, but to provide some context for those watching at home, the Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition coordinates the efforts of local governments that are pursuing clean energy and climate solutions in the state. The coalition provides a platform for members to collaborate on overcoming barriers to decarbonization, accelerating local climate change solutions, and ensuring the benefits of clean energy economy are distributed to everyone throughout the state. So local governments and elected officials are both large electricity users and policy-making entities, which have a unique perspective on the threats and challenges that climate change poses. So this specifically is overlooked in many policy debates, but the WLGCC is working to combat that. So members will come together, have an understanding of the risk that climate change possesses, and work in concert to bring recommendations to state agencies to ensure that the voice of sustainability at the local level is heard through statewide policymaking.
Thank you, Alder Young. Are there any questions from committee members? Alder Ross.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got two. First, if we do join this and you see the members come together, who would be our delegate? Who would we be sending? Who would be those members be?
Madam Chair, may I respond?
Yes, go ahead, Alder Young.
Thank you. Great question, Alder Rouse. We have a designated sustainability coordinator for the city of Racine. And so in her role as the sustainability coordinator, she works closely on these issues and would be the voice for the city of Racine in those meetings.
And then my other question would be going through that memo. Are we already on track to meet a lot of those goals? And this is just another group where we can get more access to information and resources going forward?
You hit the nail on the head, Alder Rouse. So the city of Racine actually has been quite proactive in fighting climate change, being one of the only municipalities in the state of Wisconsin to commit to the Paris Climate Accord and bring professional staff on to address issues of sustainability. So obviously, Coordinator Pratt was one of the founding members of this organization, knowing the power of collaboration across municipal boundaries. And so while we're leaders in the state, we still have lots of work to do to make sure that we get to zero carbon.
Thank you. That's all.
Any further questions from committee members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Second?
Motion approved, second to approve item 0407-21. Any further questions, comments? If not, please vote as you wish.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes, abstentions? Motion passes. Our next item is 0429-21. Mr. Fritzl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by Alder Young, Mayor Mason, and Alder Jones requesting to approve a resolution for the city of Racine officially supporting the construction of the Kenosha Racine Milwaukee KRM commuter rail line as attached. I will defer to Alder Young on this.
Thank you very much, Assistant Commissioner. Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to provide some context for this resolution, because this is exciting work. As we know, the Biden administration has made a commitment to infrastructure. So as the administration is campaigning across the country in order to gain congressional support for the American Jobs Plan, infrastructure is a major part of that puzzle. And so we're hearing rhetoric from the Department of Transportation Secretary and from others at the federal level about serious investments in commuter rail from the federal scale. Now, we've had conversations about commuter rail in the past in the city of Racine, mainly 2009, 2010, and due to state politics, along with some other barriers, we weren't able to get the job done, although we came extraordinarily close. And so this is a unique opportunity for us as a community to be out ahead, to make sure that we voice our support for this fundamental piece of infrastructure that would change the way the city of Racine engages in the region. The city of Racine is the third largest, or the city of Racine is in a region that's the third largest economic region in the United States. It's the 10th largest economic region in the world. Yet the city of Racine is the largest municipality furthest away from an interstate highway system in the Midwest. So what does this mean? This means that we have a serious opportunity to be connected to the region, tap into this over $740 billion in annual GDP that we're currently on an island and don't necessarily have access to based on the current infrastructure. And so if you read the resolution that's been put before you, you'll see that there are three major considerations as we advocate for commuter rail in the city of Racine. Number one being people. This is about jobs. This is about opportunity. This is about equity and making sure everybody has access to an opportunity to support themselves and their family. This is also about the planet. This is about having a plan around reducing carbon emissions and making sure that we utilize mass transit, which is a key part in fighting climate change. And number three, this is really just about economic growth and attraction for the city of Racine. So whether it's profit, people, or planet, this is a win-win-win. And so we have to do our part to advocate for federal investment in our community. And I am excited to partner with the mayor and Chairwoman Jones, and hopefully as we move on to council, other alders wishing to sponsor this resolution. So thank you.
Thank you, Alder Young. Any additional questions, comments from committee members? I would just like to say I was happy to sign on because I think this would be a great opportunity for the city of Racine, since we are kind of recessed from the interstate. And this would be an opportunity. I remember when the train used to run from Racine to Milwaukee to Kenosha to Chicago when I first came to Racine. And I think that would be great if we were able to get the rails back again. Thank you, Alder Young, for so eloquently explaining this to everyone. If there are no further questions, excuse me, Alder Ross.
Thank you. Yeah, going over this plan, it really checks all boxes I could have. I'd really like to support this going forward. If I could add my name on as a sponsor, I'd love to. And I'd love to contact some of my other alders if I can get them on board as well.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments from committee members? If not, I will entertain, Alder Ross, you still have your hand up. Do you wish to speak again? Oh, okay, thank you. If there are no further questions, comments, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 0429-21. If there are no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, abstentions, motion passes. Our next item is 0423-21. Mr. Hertzloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication from the president of Fourth Fest of Greater Racine Incorporated, requesting permission to use city right-of-way for the 4th of July parade on July 5th, 2021, with stipulations attached. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, committee members. The request from Fourth Fest for the 2021 parade route has been made with some adjustments to allow more space for spectators within regards to social distancing. They're going to keep the same staging area on the north side of Racine with fewer units, which will allow for more spacing between the units in the staging area. This will also allow space to back the parade up the route as needed. The parade route has also been extended at the end of the route to add overall length. This will add space to that end for spectators as well. The proposed route will be south on Main Street, starting from the staging area to 14th Street, west on 14th Street to Grand Avenue, south on Grand Avenue to 16th Street, west on 16th Street and ending at Racine Street. The areas surrounding the SCJ headquarters are large and open, which will allow for further social distancing. End of the route at Racine and 16th will also allow units to disband and rejoin regular street traffic. Madam Chair, committee members, we are recommending at the interest in public safety that the Commissioner of Public Works, City Engineer, and Chief of Police be authorized and directed to close the following streets. Main Street from Shoreland Drive to 14th Street, 14th Street from Main Street to Grand Avenue, Grand Avenue from 14th Street to 16th Street, 16th Street from Grand Avenue to Racine Street, Michigan Boulevard from Gould Street to St. Patrick Street, Ruby Avenue from South Street to Shoreland Drive, Walton, Romaine, Augusta, Wolf, William, Isabel, and Melvin from Main Street to Green Street. Further recommend that the Commissioner of Public Works be authorized and directed to communicate with the U.S. Coast Guard requesting permission to close the Main and State Street bridges to masted boat traffic for the period of 7:45 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and from 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. on July 5th, 2021. Further recommends that the Commissioner of Public Works, City Engineer, and Chief of Police provide limited assistance in the interest of public safety to implement this event. Further recommends the Fourth Fest of Greater Racine shall enter into agreement with the City of Racine, including the following terms. In the conduct of the 2021 4th of July Parade, Fourth Fest of Greater Racine shall comply with the directives set forth in the City of Racine's Excellent Equal Employment Opportunity Policy. Any elected official representing any jurisdiction, including any portion of Racine County, Wisconsin, shall be permitted to participate in the parade without payment of any fee. Elected officials participating in the parade shall be permitted to include any other person or persons in the elected officials' parade entry. Elected officials participating in the parade shall be permitted to wear any clothing or display any sign indicating such official's name and elective office. The City of Racine shall provide Fourth Fest of Greater Racine Incorporated approximately $145,000 in-kind services, including but not limited to overtime and capital contributions for the conduct of the parade.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Do we have any questions from committee members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 0423-21. Means how we have no questions, comments. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes, abstentions, motion passes. Our next item is 0422-21. Mr. Fritzloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones submitting the final resolution for the following street assessments. Portland Cement Concrete Paving. We have Barbara Drive from the cul-de-sac to Gulf Avenue.
Ron, I'm going to take these one at a time.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. I'm going to give you a little explanation for those who are new to the committee, how we take care of the final resolution for these proposed improvements. These are the ones that you heard at the public hearing 2 weeks ago. Again, I'm just going to reiterate, I don't think Alder Santiago was present earlier, but again, just for your benefit, these are the costs of a typical 7-inch thick Portland cement concrete pavement, 32 feet in width, very typical city street. These are the costs of per front foot for the type of improvement over the last 25 years. It's gone from $38.50 up to $109 in 2022. It's really it's been fairly stagnant, plateaued, but in the last 5 years, the costs have climbed tremendously. And if you look at the lower graph, if you take the last 5 years of cost per front foot and you project it out in 5 years, if some of these streets, let's say that the committee and common council elect to delete from the final resolution, this is what your constituency may expect to pay per front foot when this is considered again in 5 years. So I think that is important information for you to take under consideration tonight. What we'll do with that said, is we'll take up these streets individually. We'll take up the street and we will give you the information that we have regarding how many of the residents or the property owners are either in favor of that improvement or against. We'll report that out by front footage. We'll also let you know how many petitions we received or how many phone calls we received. The petitions, the phone calls really don't matter. We're going to provide that information to you. What matters to you is looking at the percentage of those in favor or against. So what we'll do is we give the option for both Portland Cement Concrete and bituminous. We'll take each one of those. Let's say that this committee approves Portland Cement Concrete pavement. You would obviously move to delete bituminous because we got to pave it with one or the other. If you would elect to delete both of those, then we'll move on to the next item. We'll also show you is a little graphic too that'll show you the actual property owners on there and how many voted or prefer the project be done and those who are opposed to it. And then lastly, I know everybody's busy here. We'll actually show you a photograph of the existing street condition, show you maybe what that PCI looks like. So you have an idea of what the pavement condition is and have you take that into consideration as well. So is there any questions on this process starting forward? Like I said, we'll take them one at a time. Lastly, there are a couple projects as well where either the chief building inspector has determined that a lot is wide enough where it could be split into two lots, but that would need a sewer and water service. So that's another item that if the road is improved, do you want to improve putting in, say, water or sewer service to reach this particular lot? It may be another lot where we have them. They're rare, but we do have them where one lot is actually fed from another private lot sewer and water service because there is no infrastructure in the roadway. It goes through a lot and through a lot. So those are the reasons we have proposals on here for sewer and water extensions. So if you do approve one of the pavement options, then we need to also approve extending sewer and water. So that gets done after, prior to, as part of the paving project, if you will. For some reason, if you elect to pave but not approve the infrastructure to serve those lots, those homeowners who need service or want to split their lot, they won't be permitted to go to the building department for a period of 10 years. We don't want the brand new street paved and then all of a sudden be ripped apart to put utility lines in it. So that's kind of, getting that out ahead of you. So these people who just paid for this improvement, somebody decides to change their mind and say, yeah, I'd like to split this lot, sell it, or do something. And then their brand new streets being ripped apart to extend utilities in. So that's something else we would want you to consider. We'll take these one by one as we go through the improvements. Are there any questions before we get started? Okay. Why don't we get started then with Barber Drive. This is from the cul-de-sac. And I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this list. I'll go through the options and then we're going to show you the actual totals from the residents and then we'll show you the photo. So the first one is Barber Drive. It's from the cul-de-sac to Gulf Avenue. The proposed improvement was Portland Cement Concrete pavement. The PCI is 22. And there are 27 properties on the proposed improvement. We had no one in favor of the project. We had 59.97% of the frontage, nearly 60% of the frontage against the improvement. That consisted of a petition with 16 people signed on it. And we also received 5 phone calls. On the bituminous paving side, again, it's the same PCI, same number of properties, exact same statistics insofar as who was for and against the project. We also show for your reference there the total cost of the project, how much of it gets assessed to the abutting property owners, and how much of it has to get paid for out of city borrowing There are certain rules when it comes to accessible paving. If somebody has a long side lot, they don't pay the entire footage of that. They get a percentage knocked off because if they're on a corner, because it's unfair for them to have to pay for assessment on both sides in full. So there are some reductions. If there's any city-owned lands, we have to cover that cost as well. And, intersection costs such as that get charged back to regular general obligation bond borrowing. So those are the options there. Ron, why don't we go to the slide with the totals? So you can see, again, we didn't have this type of participation virtually last time, but you can see quite a few people contacted us in the 10-day period. These are the options, probably very hard for you to see on the screen, but these are the folks that either through petition or somehow of communication to us, whether it be a phone call, express their support or favor of that. Next slide to the pavement condition. And this is representative of Barbara Drive. This is what you see, a lot of alligator cracking, a lot of thermal cracking. This pavement will continue to deteriorate, over the years unless it is improved. But this is a photograph of the road if you haven't had a chance to go out there and look at it for yourselves. Another thing I'd like to comment on as well, if we don't have a lot of overwhelming, say, objection to a project, in the past, Public Works and Services committees have considered, very little preference on the project either way, is that people maybe are not opposed to it, and that's why they didn't contact our offices. So I'd like you to take that into consideration when you see some of the percentages that are either in favor or against. And I think that's something you need to consider moving forward as well. These are streets that Public Works and Services, Department of Public Works will not spend an inordinate amount of time on doing pavement maintenance on in the future either, as they are beyond that PCI of 40. They're dipping below. We'd rather spend that time trying to preserve streets that are in a better state of condition and prolong the life of those assets. So, Madam Chair, if you want to open the discussion on Portland cement concrete pavement for Barbara Drive.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney.
Typically what happens is the chair will ask a committee member to make a motion to approve or delete it, and then you'll vote on it and we'll go from there. So
I can't see all the lots for some reason. Oh,
There
it
he
is.
is.
Okay, all right. Any questions at all from committee members? Alder Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a question for Commissioner Rooney. In the past, has this committee created a threshold, would you say, like for a percentage opposed, that has informed whether or not something gets passed or deleted? Like, let's say 60% are against, therefore that's the threshold. And has a pattern been set like that in the committee in the past?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a pattern. I think one thing that many Public Works and Services Committee in the past, in the 20 plus years that I've been here, is they generally look, 50% is a pretty good indication of where the constituency is on that project. And I think they have used that as kind of a litmus test of whether they should vote for or against the project. At that point, you're getting a plurality of the residents saying, I'm not in favor. I think also what they do look at as well is the number of properties and the number of residents who are either opposed or objecting to the improvement. For example, 20-some properties on improvement is probably viewed a lot differently than maybe 4 properties on improvement, where maybe one property owner, is kind of speaking maybe perhaps for everybody there. Lastly, you really have to look at the condition of the street and make that determination of whether this thing needs to get improved or it can wait. Again, this is a cost that is going to rise in the future, and your constituency is going to have to be made aware of that. Furthermore, there has been committees in the past that
a number of common councils and public works and services committees previously have decided to delete these improvements, and the plurality of the property owners are still against the proposed improvement. And we have had photos of streets that pretty much are reduced nearly to rubble. We can't service those streets anymore. Public safety vehicles have a difficult time getting down them. We have a very difficult time trying to plow those. So at that point, even if the plurality is like, I don't want to pay for this, they have said it is time to do the project. So I hope that answers your question, Alder Young. It's some things you need to consider when making these decisions.
Commissioner, yes, that does answer my question. I appreciate the more holistic view of addressing the situation. So in your explanation, you mentioned something that was critically important, which is emergency vehicles, city services being able to service these roads. Looking at Barbara Drive, obviously, when over 60% of the residents say that they're not interested in this repavement, in your assessment, can we still service this road with emergency services, plows, et cetera?
Well, I would like to, I can't predict how fast this will deteriorate in the next 5 years. It's more often than not, you don't get a property owner, an alderman saying, let's bring another street in for a public hearing, because we just did it last year. This will deteriorate rather quickly. The alligator cracking that you see here, once the first couple pieces start popping out, it falls apart pretty quickly after that. And this is pretty, this is pretty indicative of what Alder Meekma just had last year on the street he just spoke against. And we actually did some repairs at that request to try to limp it along, because those areas actually came out. And that's when we said, this is time for a public hearing. It can't wait any longer. He said, yes, I'll do that. We went in there and made some repairs that we normally wouldn't do. We barely have enough staff to keep up with our pavement maintenance on our arterials and collectors and our highways, let alone some of the local streets. So yeah, is it serviceable? Sure. At 22 PCI, it's not gonna last much longer. I can't tell you the condition of it. There is a plurality obviously against it. You can see for yourself the condition of it. I'm not trying to convince you to vote either way. Of course, from a public works perspective, this reduces our maintenance costs. We can spend time and resources on other roads out there with higher PCI, trying to extend the life of those assets. We can do the joint replacement. We can do the joint sealing. We can keep them in such a good state of repair, extend that life, put an overlay on them, make them last longer. You know, we don't want to spend a lot of time on these. It's just throwing good taxpayer money after bad. So
that makes sense, Commissioner. And a final question, and this may be for Chairwoman Jones. I just received a communication from Alder Peter saying that he wishes to speak on this. Now, this is not a public hearing, so my question is procedural in whether or not we allow a fellow alder who's not on the committee to contribute at this time.
Oh, may I ask Attorney Letney on that one? I know we have had alders speak at public meetings, but this is a little
Right,
different.
well, generally speaking, alders are permitted to attend any committee meetings. And you'll recall, there is a provision in the ordinance that allows anyone that wants to speak on an item to speak. But there's already been a public hearing on this issue. So the public hearing part of it is closed. But if you want to allow an alder to express an opinion as a member of the common council, you have that discretion.
I was thinking that would be. Thank you. Do we have Alder Peterson in the queue?
I don't see him. Would he show up?
Phil,
on
do
this?
you see if Alder Peterson is hand raised?
Unless she's a call in. No.
He'd be an attendee.
Alder, yeah, was it Alder Young who stated? Alder Young, is Alder Peterson on the line, or did he dial in?
It looks like if you look at attendees on participants, there is a singular caller, and I believe that may be Alder Peterson, but I'm not. I believe that is, yes.
Phil, can you get us to that screen?
I'm trying to.
All right, we're gonna try to get there.
Hello. Hello.
Up. hello?
Alder Peterson,
Yes, Ms. Jones, thank you.
go ahead, please.
I'm just, the residents on Barbara, specifically Kenneth Ritt, who put together the petition. There are a couple people on there that are group homes. He didn't get those signatures, but obviously the majority of the individuals that signed were against this. I understand where Commissioner Rooney is coming from as far as the ability to maintain the street, what they have to do to maintain it. I've been down that street. Yes, it is deteriorating. Do I think it could make 5 more years? Yes, but I'm not a professional like Mr. Rooney. So I'm just calling because I've been down that street. Yes, it's in disrepair, but a vast number of the individuals on that street asked me to voice my opinion against the either pavement. And that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Alder Peters. Alder Ross, I believe you had your hand up next.
Yeah, my question had to do with if a scenario came up and the road deteriorated prior to that 5-year mark, is there a cost and estimate for, let's say, like an emergency repair if there were to be a large opening that would open up, or compared to the cost of a planned repair?
We would handle these streets, Alder Rouse, very much like we handle issues that come up in alleys. We don't do maintenance on alleys either. What we do respond to are what we consider emergency or safety issues. So if we had something there where it is a safety issue, where a vehicle, a tire would get caught in it, a child could trip in it, or somebody on a motorcycle or a bicycle, it could create an accident. We will respond to that. But to do wholesale type of patching like we did on Indiana Street last summer, that was something we did to try to help maybe convince the constituents that, hey, we're here to try to help this out, but you really need to move this thing forward. We just can't do that anymore. We will take care of emergency and safety situations, Alder House, but we won't be going in there to doing any wholesale milling and resurfacing. It'll be at for all intents and purposes, mostly cold patch material that get put in there, just to avoid those types of safety issues.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from committee members? If not, then I will entertain a motion for Barbara Drive for Portland Cement Concrete first.
Chairwoman Jones, I would make a motion just looking at the residents of the street and the voice of the alder to delete Barbara Drive from both concrete bituminous pavement.
Second.
Motion and second. Do we have to go through the procedure for each one?
And then you should ask for a vote on this one.
Okay, we are.
Okay.
Okay. Motion and second to delete both concrete, cement, and bituminous on Barbara Drive. Any questions, comments? If not, all those in favor of deleting Barbara Drive for both Portland Cement and bituminous, please let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, abstention. Motion passes. Thank you. The next street up then is Chatham, correct?
Correct.
Let me go back to.
Yeah. So let's go back to the original sheet there. It's just a little clumsy going back and forth. So we'll try to make an improvement maybe for next time. So the next street that we have is Chatham Street from Melvin Avenue to Lombard. The proposed improvements were either Portland cement concrete pavement or bituminous. The PCI is 17. There are 16 properties. For the Portland cement concrete pavement, we had just under 30% of the property owners in favor of that, 3 by phone, 1 by email. A little more than that oppose, 36.28% oppose, 1 by phone, several by email. On the bituminous concrete pavement side, no one was in favor of having their street repaved with bituminous. And we had just over 40% opposed. You know, a lot of things with the bituminous pavement, I will mention, it is cheaper, sometimes not a lot cheaper, but it is cheaper. But I think a lot of folks recognize too, if it does get paved in bituminous, it is subject for another public hearing, whatever, in 20 or 30 years when it reaches its useful life. So I think that's something that people consider. That being said, Ron, let's show them the actual tally for Chatham Street. So you can see, you know, on the top for Portland cement concrete pavement, about 30% in favor, 36% against, almost 40% opposed for bituminous. And Ron, how about we give them a photo of Chatham Street so they can see the condition of that street there. So there we've got a lot of settling, a lot of thermal cracking. It doesn't have that alligator style pattern of failure, but a lot of thermal cracking that's going on. You can see trench settlement, you know, through the roadway there as well. You know, creates for some drainage issues. You can see on the curb and gutter there as well, some of the dark spots that you see further up in the photo. So with that, Madam Chair,
All right.
you can open up for discussion.
Yes, thank you. Any questions, comments? Alder Young, I don't see your hand, but I think you're unmuted.
Yes, you know, in the interest of listening to the constituents, it seems as if there's an interest in Portland cement repavement for this road. So I would support that as an option for this repavement.
Any further questions, comments from committee members? If not, then I will entertain a motion for Portland cement concrete for Chatham Street.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve Portland cement concrete for Chatham Street. Any further questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposes? Abstentions? Motion passes. Now, we need a motion to delete the bituminous concrete for Chatham Street.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to delete Chatham Street from bituminous paving. Any questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposes? Abstentions? The motion passes. Mr. Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ron, can we go back to the first sheet? The next improvement you can see starting on number 5 there is DeKoven Avenue from Clark Street to Racine Street. Again, we had recommendations to pave in Portland cement concrete pavement or bituminous. The PCI is 18. There are only 5 properties associated with this improvement. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of the properties is big enough to be split, and I believe one of the properties has a service that goes through a lot to another lot. So that's why you'll see down on number 7 a request to put in sanitary sewer, and then for number 9, or I'm sorry, for number 8 would be sewer and water services as well. So with that, I'm sorry, I didn't even get to the totals there. We had knowing in favor of any of the improvements, and both for Portland cement and for bituminous, we had 50.28% of the frontage opposed. And we received 2 phone calls regarding that. Around what we show them the list of property owners and We can pause right there. So you can see, we've got the same property owners. It's actually, I believe it's the same family, the same that own both properties, 1835 and 1206 Coven. Both are opposed to the project that constitutes just over 50% of the frontage, and that was for both of those. Let's move to the photo of the roadway. So yeah, this is just just west of Highway 32. This is in really poor condition, especially on the westbound side of it. Massive alligator cracking, where this is where the material is actually just coming out. We're not even putting in MC or cold patch asphalt in there anymore. Now we're limited just pouring in mastic, which is more like almost like a rubberized type of material. Just something to try to hold it together. It doesn't do anything to increase the PCI. It's Gorilla Glue for pavements is what it amounts to. There's no structural value to it whatsoever. It's just trying to keep more pieces from coming out. So again, that's the condition of the street that we have there. As you can see on the one side of the road, there's developable lands there. That's why the request in there is for sewer and then services as well. So
Actually, John, it's the grass side, the north side is the family is the two that are against it, and it's the ones to the south that will get the sewer or need.
oh, I'm sorry. The sewer then is for, the extension is for
Yeah.
the south. There is
There's
a
a-
property that is served by another property. Is
Yeah,
that
there's a
correct?
house that is just cut off from the storefront that you see there with the red awning.
Yep.
That's the house that does not have sewer to its property. It
It
joins,
comes from this.
It comes from the adjoining property.
it comes from an adjoining property.
Which is
And
the
they're- And,
storefront.
yeah, and none of
Restaurant.
the residents on the south side of the road expressed opinion one way or the other.
Alder Young,
Thank you, Chairwoman Jones, and thank you, Mr. Molitor, for that insight that the vacant land is where the opposition is coming from, and those who are in the area who ride on the street, would be the ones hypothetically, because they haven't spoken against the project, would be in support. So that definitely helps in our consideration, especially looking at the condition of the road. So thank you.
Alder Rouse,
Yeah, thank you. Looking at that road, is that safe to plow?
No, it's becoming very difficult to service. We give you the last public hearing date that was held, but I can tell you, having been here in the Public Works Department for over 20 years, we've had this item before Public Works and Services Committee prior to 2016. Yeah, this is one that there's going to be very difficult for us to try to keep this functioning again. We've got to plow. We've got to make sure that public safety vehicles can get down it. Again, this just takes resources that we could otherwise use on other streets that we're trying to preserve and maintain.
thank you. Any further questions from committee members? If not, I have a question, since that is my district. The house at Clark and DeKalb, that the sewer runs from the storefront. Is that the way that I'm understanding that what you need to replace is coming from that restaurant?
I believe the service basically runs to the old restaurant and then from the restaurant to the house
The
next
house.
door.
Okay,
So it's.
because I know the city is looking at raising that building.
Which,
So what would that do to the homeowner there?
Raising the
the old restaurant,
restaurant.
with the red awning.
the one that the
That
house.
has sewer, yes.
Yeah, and see, herein lies the problem. If there is, if they raise that property, those sewer and water lines get capped. The water department will shut off the water service at the curb stop, which is kind of located between your curb and sidewalk. And then the building department is going to order that the lateral be capped. because we don't want II getting into the sanitary sewer system. That would render the property owner without service. So, and this problem could exist whether that property owner or that property is going to get raised or not. For some reason, that property, that needs service from the adjoining property has a problem, and maybe it's on the exit side of somebody else's property. They're under no obligation to make repairs to keep that person functioning. It's kind of I think they did this to try to, get by with putting the appropriate amount of infrastructure in the street to provide services to individual properties, or they wound up splitting properties back in the day when maybe nobody was really keeping track of this stuff and said, hey, you know what, we'll just maybe without permit, we'll extend a sewer and water line from one house to the other. A lot of that stuff happened, going back many, many, many decades ago with poor record keeping or things that were just done without permit or even knowledge, to city staff at the time. So, but yes, that does present a challenge for that property.
I would assume in this case that the store and the house were probably owned by the same people
But they're no
100
longer.
years ago.
That could be too.
Yeah.
And then they split the lots and very good point. They could have done it to serve another one. Then they split it. Now there's two property owners and that relationship obviously doesn't exist because they're not owned by the same person or persons.
Hasn't been for years. Becker?
And can I chime in on that property?
Sure.
I will just say there was a raise order on that property that the property owner objected to, and we went to court. And we have a settlement agreement that would require the property owner to do significant repairs to the property. And my understanding is they're complying with that at this point. If they don't do it, then the raise order takes effect. But there's at least an attempt to have the property owner actually bring that property up to standards that the building inspector is satisfied with.
Oh, thank you, Attorney Letney. They hadn't informed me of that one. I know the last thing I heard, they were in court.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, but right now he's supposed to be complying.
He's compliant with what's expected, which doesn't necessarily mean he's done much yet. He's just on the path to getting things done. I'll double check on it and let you know.
Oh, what does that do to us tonight? Oh,
From a staff opinion, if you were to approve the paving of the street, I'd strongly encourage you to approve the extension of sewer and those services. Either way, both of these properties then have independent services of each other. And even if this person, does get the raise order and they have to take the building down and someone else is interested in it and wants to build something there, they don't have to deal with this issue of someone else, behind them. So that's just my opinion on the issue.
just personally speaking, I don't know what he could do to it to improve it. I mean, it's seriously, it's just falling apart.
Yeah.
If you could see an actual picture of the building, it's basically falling apart. All the, well, never mind. Anyways, any further, Alder Ross, did not see your hand there. Excuse me.
Thank you very much. Can you speak to the differences in options and road materials again, based on that cost difference? Because I think it's an $11,000 cost difference, correct?
For the difference between Portland cement, concrete pavement and bituminous,
Yeah.
the total cost for Portland cement is $97,152, and for bituminous it's $72,358. Yeah, and there is a cost difference per front foot as well. Again, we can make that improvement in bituminous. Bituminous does not last as long as Portland cement concrete, which I'm sure you're all well aware of. So, and again, it's not considered a permanent pavement. So, if it lasts, 25 years, for bituminous here, it falls below 40 at that point in time, it'll be back before a future Public Works and Services Committee for consideration.
And then what is that lifespan on the Portland cement then?
Oh, Portland cement, we've seen pavements that have lasted, 40, 50 years. some longer. You know, it all depends. Life expectancy of a roadway, you know, depends a lot on two things. It's ADT, average daily traffic, and the percent of truck traffic that goes down it. Just more axle loads get imparted on the pavement. So, and that's what they do for pavement design. They just try to figure the equivalent amount of axle. So a street like the Coven, you know, it gets more traffic. It's going to wear a lot quicker than say even the north-south street the east-west street that's one block to the south of it. It's going to wear faster because it has a higher ADT and probably a higher percentage of trucks that go down it.
And we have a lot of truck traffic that goes over to R&B grinding, which is right past the house at
Mhm.
Clark and DeKalb. And also the, what's the name? The warehouse that you see to the right past the tracks. There are a lot of trucks that go in that area, and Modine's is right across the street. And what's the other one that's right down from the land that's owned at
Well, down
Memorial and DeKalb? There is a factory, it has a French name to it, that's Alder Tate's area.
Jacquet.
Yes, okay, yes. And there's a lot of trucks in and out. They come off 32 in Racine Street and go across the track. Some come off of Memorial Drive as well, but a lot come from Racine Street and go west. Any further question? Alder Roth, you still have your hand. Do you have another question or comment?
No, I was just running the math on the cost per year of each of the different materials, and it seems like it'd be worthwhile to go with the Portland cement if that outright investment wouldn't be too much to handle for the constituents of that area.
Oh, can hardly see it.
Yes, Santiago has the same.
Alder Santiago,
Yes, if it's not too early, I'd like to motion to approve the Portland cement, including the extension of sewer.
Second.
motion and second to approve the Portland cement for DeKalb Avenue. Any further questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes? Any abstentions? Motion passes. I would entertain a motion to delete the bituminous.
So moved.
Second.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion and second to delete the bituminous concrete paving, concrete paving for DeKalb Avenue. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes, extensions. Motion passes to delete bituminous for DeKalb Avenue. The next street, Commissioner Rooney?
Yeah, the next street is Kentucky Street, Kinsey Avenue to Haven Avenue. We had options of pave in both Portland cement concrete pavement and bituminous. The PCI 17, 24 properties on this improvement. Very little interest, I think, either way in the project, whether for support or opposition to it. We had 7.06% in favor of Portland cement concrete pavement, with just over 16% opposed to Portland cement concrete pavement. For bituminous, the same frontage, 16.33% opposed. And we had property that had 1.51% of the frontage in favor of bituminous. So again, this is one where it almost appears that most residents or most property owners there, if there are 24 on it, approximately 20 are just indifferent about the project. So I would ask you that you took that in your consideration When looking at some of the data here, again, you can see all the property owners listed here. Heard from very few of them. Next run to show the condition of the street. Again, this is that classic alligator cracking, the part in the middle that you see there. That's where you start to lose those pieces. That is some cold patch that's been put in there. You can see there's an older one, a newer part of the replacement. We're doing this up and down the street between the two cars parked. You can see it up there, and it's going on. So it's this alligator cracking is getting a little more advanced, and we're starting to actually lose parts of the roadway now. So with that, Chair, I'll
Excuse me, Alder.
Just a quick comment. The one resident that voted for bituminous also voted in favor of Portland concrete also.
oh, okay.
So.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Any questions from Commissioner Alder Ross?
Can I make a motion to approve Portland Cement?
Second.
Second.
Motion and second to Portland Cement for Kentucky Street.
Who
Any,
seconded?
beg pardon?
Who seconded?
Santiago.
They both did, but yeah, Boulder, Santiago.
Okay, very, thank you.
Okay, we all set? Okay. Any further questions? Alder Ross, your hands are still up? Oh, okay. All those in favor of Portland's cement concrete for Kentucky Street, please let it be known by saying aye.
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 Opposes? Thank you. The motion carries. I would entertain a motion to delete bituminous for Kentucky Street.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to delete bituminous concrete paving for Kentucky Street, Kinsey Avenue to Haven Avenue. Any questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposes? Motion passes. Mr. Rooney, our next street.
Yeah, next street is Kiwani Street from North Main Street to Chatham Street. We had a proposal for Portland cement concrete pavement and bituminous. This again, as a property there that is hooked to another property, therefore requiring an extension of sanitary sewer and then the associated services. On the Portland cement concrete pavement, we had 0% in favor, 31.09% of the frontage opposed, identical numbers as it relates to bituminous. And we also had 35.6% of the frontage opposed to the sewer extension and 50% opposed to the lateral extension. So if you want to, Ron, bring up the list for Chatham Street, or Kiwani Street, I'm sorry. So as you can see, the same two properties opposed to it. Again, I know this street has been before Public Works and Services Committee, even prior to 2016, for public hearing. So it's been here a few times. So those are the number of properties on that were 6. So essentially, yeah, 2 of the properties, about just under a third of the frontage is opposed to paving with both materials. Ron, do you want to bring up the picture of Kiwani Street? Again, kind of similar to what you're seeing over on DeKoven. The adjacent street or block, I should say, to this was up for public hearing. I want to say around 2011 or 12 or so. And that was from Chatham down to Michigan Boulevard. That was approved. They were both up at the same time. This one was not. So that butts up to brand new pavement there, and you got Main Street on the west end. So a lot of the similar problems that we're having over there on DeKoven Street as well as we're having here.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members?
to.
Okay,
On the right-hand side of that picture, if that, where the pavement actually looks pretty good, is actually a utility patch. I'm assuming the water main came through there and probably,
Yeah, I think when the water department replaced some water mains on the section to the east, when they repaved Chatham, I'm sorry, Kiwanee from Chatham to Michigan, they relayed that
yeah.
section through this. The best part of the roadway was a patch that was a trench patch that was put in by the water department, you know, whatever, a number, probably 5+ years ago, so.
Move to approve for Portland Cement.
Second.
motion and second to approve Portland Cement for Kewanee Street.
Well, yeah.
Any further questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, abstentions, motion passes. I would entertain a motion to delete the bituminous concrete.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to delete bituminous concrete paving for Kewanee Street, North Main Street to Chatham Street. Any questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Mr. Rooney, our next.
We need a.
Oh, I'm
No
sorry.
problem, no
We
problem.
need the sanitary sewer.
So moved.
To approve? Yes.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the sanitary sewer for Kewanee Street, North Main to Chatham Street.
And the last would be the services for that. Number
Could we have
14.
done that one all together? No.
Yeah, right here. That's the sad.
Move to approve the services.
Would be the water services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
They approve both.
Okay, motion and second to approve both the sanitary sewer and the sanitary lateral for Kewanee Street, North Main to Chatham Street. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, abstentions, the motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Rooney, our next street.
The next street we have is Lighthouse Drive. From Sheffield Drive to Queens Court. We had a proposal for both Portland cement concrete pavement and bituminous. There are 6 properties on this section. The PCI is 17. In both instances, again, I believe there's probably only one property that expressed an opinion either way, 0% in favor and 14.28% opposed. Ron, if you can bring up the tally from the list of the 6 property owners. Yep, there you go. So again, you know, same property owner was opposed to both pavements. We had no response from the other 5 either way. Oh, and that's, I'm sorry, show the photograph. And this is Lighthouse Drive. Again, a lot of alligator crack, thermal cracking as well. And you can see particularly on the edges or really starting to lose it in the curb and gutter areas and, you know, create real drainage problems there. So.
Thank you. Staff, any questions from committee members?
Move to approve for Portland Cement.
Second.
Motion and second to approve Portland cement concrete for Lighthouse Drive, Sheffield Drive to Queens Court. Well, we gotta do it separate now. We didn't do it together. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposes? Motion passes. I would entertain a motion to delete bituminous for Lighthouse.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to delete bituminous concrete paving for Lighthouse Drive, Sherfield Drive to Queens Court. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Our final street, Mr. Rooney?
Thank you, Madam Chair, is Lombard Avenue between North Main Street and Chatham Street. We had both proposals for Portland cement, concrete pavement and bituminous. The PCI is 28, 4 properties. And on both of these, 74.14% of the frontage was opposed to the project. Ron, if you want to bring up the tally of the property owners, my guess is 3 out of the 4 residents, same 3 out of the 4 were opposed. Yes. Yeah, 3 out of 4 properties were opposed to this improvement. I don't know what else there is to see there. Next, this is a PCI of 28. And I think probably has the highest PCI of all the ones we've considered tonight. I believe this is the first time this one's
Yes,
been up
that
for
we've
public
been
hearing.
20, I think.
So with that, if you have any comment, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from committee members?
Move to delete bituminous and Portland cement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second to delete Lombard Avenue for both Portland cement and bituminous. Any questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes, abstentions? Motion passes.
Madam Chair, what we will need next from the committee is, because you have made changes to this proposed final resolution, you didn't delete everything on here. You kept some, you deleted some. Somebody's gonna need to make a motion to approve this as amended, and then we'll need a second.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve item 0422-21 as amended.
Second?
Thank you. Motion and second to approve item, oops, where is it? I lost it. 422-21 as amended. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, abstentions, the motion passes. And that concludes our agenda for this evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, y'all.
Trying to find something else on this page.
That's what happened to me on that one item. I
Yeah,
lost
it's
my
like,
item. I was like,
okay.
Well, you know what? I know this is your last committee here, but in the future, I think we need these on one side. So you don't get lost turning
And that's what
over.
he did.
That's- I knew what
That's
happened to
what
you.
That's what
Ron
happened,
did,
yes.
yes.
You know, you-
Because
I was like
did
writing
that.
notes down, and then when I came back to look at the item.
I know, you're like, what the heck? I just lost my place.